Welcome back to Kaleidoscope Mishra. It's such a wonderful morning. Before I start with the review of books, I just want to brush past through some general topics. So today, we will be looking at the evolution of books. As the saying goes, every man has a history, so do books. Do you know what are the different stages of books? Any idea? Well, here they are. Stone tablets, ancient scrolls, codex, manuscripts, printed books, and ebooks. So let's dive into them. Stone tablets. All of you might have heard of stone tablets or might have seen them in museums, right? Clay tablets were used mainly in the ancient Near East as a writing medium where symbols, which is known as cuneiform, were pressed into clay with a triangular stylus throughout the Bronze Age and well into the Iron Age. I hope you guys are familiar with the words stylus and cuneiform. What is it? A stylus is a writing utensil or tool for scribing or marking into softer materials. We have the stylus in present form, which is a pen-like shape that we use when drawing, selection, or typing in both computer and Android phones. Different styluses were used to write in cuneiform by pressing into the wet clay and to scribe or carve into a wet tablet. Very hard styluses are also used to engrave metal and the slate. Stylus system is also used to punch out dots to write in braille. I hope you're familiar with stylus now. So the next word is cuneiform. This is a language that is logosyllabic where writing should be symbols that were wedge shaped to represent words and ideas. This was a language used from the Bronze Age to the Common Era. And now, I hope you're familiar with cuneiform also. Now let's come back to where we started. So what do they do with the clay tablets? Once written upon the clay tablets, they were dried in sun or air. Others were fragile. Fragile means it's been broken or destroyed. Later, these unfired clay tablets could be soaked in water and recycled into new clean tablets. Other tablets, once written, were fired in hot kilns, or inadvertently fired when buildings were burned down by accident or during conflict, making them hard and durable. Here we have another word, kiln. A kiln is a furnace or an oven which can also be called a thermally insulated chamber, a type of oven that produces temperatures sufficient to complete some process, such as hardening, drying. Kilns have been used for millennia to turn objects made from clay into pottery or tiles, etc. I hope everyone knows about the word millennia. Millennia is a plural noun that means multiple periods of 1,000 years. So let's come back to the collection of clay documents. They were at the root of the first libraries. Tens of thousands of written tablets, including many fragments, have been found in the Middle East. They were the first archives. Here, archive is meant as a collection of historical documents or records providing information about a place, institution, or a group of people. So that's all about clay tablets. As it was a bit hard to carry them in bulks or to transform information slowly and gradually, people made this tablet to a different form of medium which was introduced as a scroll. Let's look into them. Ancient scrolls. A scroll is a long roll of paper or a similar material with writing on it. A scroll was a rolled manuscript. Since they needed two hands to use them, scrolls were clunky. The average scroll was 14 to 52 feet. Scrolls may be marked divisions of a continuous roll of writing material. The scroll is usually unrolled so that one page is exposed at a time for writing or reading, with the remaining pages rolled and stored to the left and right of the visible page. Text is written in lines from top to the bottom of the page. Depending on the language, the letters may be written left to right, right to left, or alternating in direction. There are two types of scrolls, volumen and rotulus. Scrolls are made from materials like papyrus, parchment, or paper. As you see, papyrus was a primary material for ancient scrolls because it was native to Egypt. To make paper sheets, ancient Egyptians would separate the stock into thin strips. flatten the strips on the Nile red board, and the last step, pound the strips with a mallet to remove excess water. Scrolls were made by gluing together papyrus sheets. Paper is easily cracked, and only fragments of these scrolls are available today. Next, it can also be made through parchment. Parchment is a stiff, flat, thin material made from prepared skin of an animal, usually a sheep or a goat, and used as a durable writing surface in ancient and medieval times. Parchment, unlike scrolls, were made by sewing together parchment leaves. So don't get confused. Parchment leaves are the sheets or the pages that have been prepared from animal skin. And there you have paper scrolls made from paper. So there are certain terminology used in paper scroll. Let's look at them. The key parts of a scroll are recto, verso, colema, and coleus. Because of the manner in which they are made, sheets of papyrus typically have two different sides. One with fibers running horizontally, which is called recto, and the other with fibers running vertically, which is called verso. The recto is typically the interior writing side of the papyrus. The verso is typically the outside roll. This is because the vertical fibers are more flexible, pulling apart slightly when the scroll is curved with them on the outside. Since they can separate as they are bent, it is easier and less damaging to the scroll to roll it with them on the outside. The term colema refers to the single sheet of papyrus out of the entire assembled scroll. Coleus is a joint between colema, or in other words, a place where the individual sheets that make up a scroll have been glued together. So that's all about scrolls. Next stage after scroll was a codex, which was the beginning of our modern book. So let's dive into that. Codex. The codex was a forerunner of the modern book, which is a stack of pages bound together. The codex was used for religious texts, official documents, and literature in Asia and Americas. Since the codex was compact and easy to carry, the early Christians used this format to bring the Gospels to distant lands. A codex is a book made of sheets, or parchment, or papyrus folded together to create pages. The Romans created the codex. The wood covers were durable. The pages were created from parchment, which is a type of animal skin that was sometimes called vellum. The Romans even added a table of contents and indexes. The codex transformed the shape of the book itself and offered a form that has lasted ever since. The codex is considered the most important advance in book making before the invention of the printing press. Western culture, the codex gradually replaced the scroll. Between the 4th century, when the codex gained wide acceptance, and the Carolingian Renaissance in the 8th century, during this period, there was an increase of literature, writing, visual arts, architecture, music, jurisprudence, liturgical reforms, and scriptural studies. Carolingian schools were effective centers of education, and they served generations of scholars by producing editions and copies of the classics, both Christian and pagan. Many works that were not converted from scroll to codex were lost. The codex improved on the scroll in several ways. It could be opened flat at any page for easier reading. Pages could be written on both front and back, that is recto and verso, and the protection of the durable covers made it more compact and easier to transport. The plural of codex is codices. The ancients stored codex with spine facing inward and not always vertically. The spine of a codex is a part that fastens a folded sheet of book together. The spine can also refer to the decorative endbands of a codex. More similar to the style of books we know today, the Romans created some of the first codices from as early as the 1st century CE. The codex was more durable and compact than a scroll, as it was made with the parchment paper and bound with the wooden covers. The codex, as it was easier to carry, this style of book became more popular with the rise of Christianity. The codex was more durable and compact than the scroll, as it was made with the parchment paper. After this came the modern version of both scroll and codex, a bit similar to today's invention. You guessed it right, manuscripts. Manuscripts have knowledge content. A manuscript may be a codex that is bound as a book, a scroll, or bound differently or consists of loose pages. Illuminated manuscripts are enriched with pictures, border decorations, elaborately embossed initial letters or full-page illustrations. During this period, as writing took a long time, there was an invention of the printing press which gradually changed our history forever. We will be looking into the power of printing press in the upcoming videos. Printed books. With the invention of the printing press, literacy began to flourish and people became true armchair travelers. Reference books, like dictionaries, also became popular. The printing press changed the world by making it easier and faster to share information, which led to the rise in literacy and spread of ideas. This led to the rise in literacy, which broke the monopoly of the literate elite in education. In addition to the books, pamphlets were printed. After the invention of printing, short, unbound, or loosely bound booklets were called pamphlets. Pamphlets were used to debate ideas, including Martin Luther's challenge of Catholic Church. Pamphlets eventually led to newspapers and magazines, two major means of mass communications today. Pamphlets functioned in place of magazine articles in the pre-magazine era, which ended in the mid-19th century. There were hundreds of them in the United States alone. They were a primary means of communication for people interested in political and religious issues such as slavery. Pamphlets gradually faded from prominence in history as the rise of newspapers and periodicals provided a more readily accessible platform for public discourse, essentially taking over the role of pamphlets in disseminating information and political commentary. Particularly with the emergence of the mass printing technology, this shift is often referred to as the end of the pamphlet era, where political dialogue moved primarily to the newspaper and bound books. Invention and technology has made a huge change to get the present form of books that we read today. It's not an easy process to come with a change. It's hard to bring an idea or an invention to the society. They need to accept it, understand the changes of it, and of course rely on it a bit to make a greater change to society. And that's how a society grows, and that's how a person grows. So that's the end of this session, and it's me, Michelle, signing off. Let's meet another day.